Melissa Burr caught my eye. She is hysterical. She is posting on Twitter every single day what would happen if the World Series of Poker was going on. So she's like, World Series of Poker, day 6. World Series of Poker, day 17. And they're really funny. You know, there are a few people out there that have kind of taken the Twitter world by storm in the poker community. You know, obviously we all know Jamie Kerstedter's crushed it. Farrah Galfond has just been just venom, just crushing anybody who comes after her husband, and she's been hilarious by doing that in her own way. But Melissa Burr has kind of been this subtle underdog coming in. So Poker Awards next year, best Twitter account. I think Burberry is at least in the running. I'll put it in that way. She's an interesting cat. Seriously, really, really just wicked smart, sarcastic, funny, great poker player, and probably one of the most underrated mixed game players out there today. Certainly a mixed game specialist who's been crushing for years. That is definitely flying under the radar. That's for sure. Anyway, without further ado, how high did you get last night? Who did you bet on last night? Did you make money?
Oh, my God. Is this all live right now?
Joining us this week, Under the Gun. You are under the gun, the one and only Melissa Burr. Burr.
Hey, David.
It's cold. How often do people do that? This must be the most annoying, stupid joke ever, huh?
I got it a lot when I was a kid. As I grew up, I think my friends became less complicated, so they didn't really make those kind of complex jokes.
Right, yeah. I don't think I genuinely believe that I started getting stupider and my jokes got worse when I became a dad.
Oh, yeah. I heard that's a real possibility.
It's so sad. It's so sad. How are you in 2020 in this, clearly sim that we are living in?
You know, I'm actually doing great.
You're like, you know what, fucking, I'm living my best life, man. 2020 is fucking awesome. What are you talking about?
I mean, I am living my best life. I enjoyed, being away from public in general. And then this just gave me, a great opportunity to stay that way and then have everyone else be, accepting of that kind of behavior. So, I'm doing great out here, surprisingly enough. Everyone's playing online. I prefer that. I mean, everything kind of fell in line except for the fact that, I can't go to a movie theater. I kind of miss that.
Okay, but, you're already somewhat antisocial. You don't really want to hang out with people. You like playing poker online. You like eating chicken McNuggets on Veronica Brill's podcast and winning money. By the way, you promised the world and you promised me that this would be no filters, okay? Now, we postponed the podcast because you were so fucking high last night you couldn't even do it, okay?
I swear I'll be unfiltered, I promise.
Okay, so how many, because obviously you don't gamble for real money, but how many jelly beans did you win? What was the wager?
Wow. Last night or the chicken nuggets? You're going to have to be more specific. I gamble a lot.
I know. Let's start with the chicken nuggets.
Okay, so that's been a question that's been raised among everybody. I have not answered that on any podcast. That you cannot chalk that up to being not filtered. I've always stated that it was somewhere less than 6 figures and somewhere north of 4 figures. But any amount of money that I won to get paid to eat chicken nuggets was going to be a win.
No, I mean, clearly, obviously. I mean, especially if it's over 4 figures. I think anybody's like, whoever bet you 100% hustled them. I mean, they should have done a little bit more research and realized that the size of the mouth, the size of the stomach, the size of the person doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, I've seen eating contests. Those guys who eat 4,000 hot dogs, they're not big people.
No, so I've seen the bigger people try to compete, and typically it's almost always a smaller Asian person that wins and takes everybody down. I guess my friend just doesn't watch eating competitions.
Yeah, I went to all-you-can-eat sushi with Greg Raymer once. I fucking put him down.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, an hour and 20 minutes into it, he's looking at me like, where do you put it?
Well, see, that's the thing. I think that people that want to bet get overconfident, and they're like, well, I can't eat that, so there's no way that they can eat that. And that's kind of how this bet originated. I was making fun of him for not being able to eat an entire box of Girl Scout cookies. That's an appetizer. And he was like, well, I bet you can't do X, Y, Z.
I
didn't want to seem too eager.
For those of you who missed that podcast, I assume that it is still archived. It was quite funny. I really enjoyed the way you made it look and made it feel like it was tougher than it was. It was quite smart. No. For anybody who's an aspiring poker player out there, an aspiring hustler out there, if you want to be a gambler in life, and I don't say that in a bad way, I mean it as a compliment, Melissa, 1,000%. It was a clinic in how Melissa made it appear that it might be tougher than it is, when there was zero doubt in my mind for sure that you could easily have eaten another 20 if necessary.
I thought about it, and I don't think there's going to be any more betting, but when I went on the podcast, I was like, no fucking way am I eating one chicken nugget over 60. I do not want to kill any future action. And then you assholes came on and were like, well, we'll donate to charity. And I was like, fuck, this is going to mess up my whole plan to not eat more. I was like, oh, it's for charity. It's for a good cause. They're starving people. I'm eating chicken nuggets for money. It was a real dilemma. So I landed on 65 being the hard stop for me. I was not eating more than 65.
Yeah, I ended up donating $200 from that. So you cost me $200, but it was for charity.
I do really appreciate that. Yeah.
I would have, but for the record, I think I said if you did 75, I said I would donate more if you just did a truffle shuffle, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The Goonies.
Yeah, I think you offered a few things. I think there were some jumping jacks involved. I don't know if that was you or Kerstetter. There was some truffle shuffling. That probably definitely was you. And Vanessa just wanted to go for pain. Vanessa was like, I just want to see her eat as many as possible so that I can just donate the money. I planned on donating anyway, she said. So yeah, there were some people out for pain, but for a good cause, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the old. So Amarillo Slim wrote a book many, many years ago, obviously, because he's dead many, many years. But no, he wrote a book a long, long time ago, and he talked about gambling. Say what you will about Amarillo Slim. I'm not going to get into all that stuff, but I will say one of the things that he mentioned in his book was, and I think this has been, the sentiment has been echoed by many gamblers in the past, is if a known gambler is okay taking a bet, you should probably double check and just make sure. Be like, why are they okay with that? You know what I mean?
That's generally my rule of thumb for prop bets. Like if someone says that they can do something, I am very hesitant to say that they can't.
Right. Yeah. It's just like the whole the Timex shooting, basketballs, and I'm like, you're gonna doubt this? And for those of you who don't know, by the way, he has to hit 90 out of 100 free throws, but he has unlimited attempts. So
I was actually very, very. I followed that bet really closely. And at first glance, when I read that, I was like, man, that seems outrageous. And still to this day, I still think it's outrageous because if you look at some of the shooting percentages of the NBA and so on and so forth, it is really hard. But that being said, I have rarely seen Timex lose bets like this. So
I think it's a stone cold lock. I mean, he has till like November, doesn't he, or the end of the year?
Too. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the videos of him shooting. I mean, the first video, it's like what you're saying about people, hustling and whatnot. And I've asked him, I was like, was that just a show? Like, are you just like, was that just, he's like, no, that was really my form. I'm like, dude, that's bad. But then you see him like a month later or a couple months later in May, and he looks a million times better. So it's like, you have unlimited time. That is a high percentage, but yeah, I generally don't bet against people like, they're like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. My general rule of thumb is this. If you want to bet an amount that actually makes it worthwhile to you and to them, then you're going to lose the bet.
Right.
Now, if you want to make a small little bet with somebody for something like that, you actually have a chance of winning because, like let's say I was going to bet you, how many languages can you learn? How many languages do you know?
I know 3.
3, which languages?
I know Spanish, English, and a little bit of sign language.
Spanish, English, and what else?
Sign language.
Sign language. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Coming from somebody who has a hearing problem, that's interesting. We'll get into that in a second. Anyway, if I was to make a bet with you and say, hey, I'll bet you $500,000 that you can't learn, that you can't write a short story in Japanese by, within 12 months.
Oh, I could do that in a heartbeat. I would do almost any language in 12 months.
Right,
Arabic,
but
whatever.
if I made the same bet with you, $500, you'd be like, fuck it, it's not worth my time. Sure, I'll bet you, but if I don't get to it, whatever. Here, Tuck, $500. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. With this quarantine and things, that idea of learning another language has been tossed around. So if you're willing to bet 500, what might be worth my while? I have nothing else to do.
Okay, hey, listen, this could become a prop bet type thing. I'm always jealous. I will say, I have experienced a lot of things in the poker world, and I feel really lucky, and I love this game so much, and I'm so passionate about it. I'm kind of talking about, I don't know if you saw Sean McCormick's tweet earlier on. If not, we'll get to that.
I did.
Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. But either way, so I love this game so much, and I understand that there are people out there that are just kind of like, fuck it, I'm here for the money, I don't give a shit. And that's fine too, by the way. But, you wish those people would not be in places of power.
Yeah, agreed.
One of the things that I will tell you that I have always been very jealous about in the poker world, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I have never been on the side of a prop bet that seemed like really fun. Like, like the Jeff Gross one or the Lance Bradley one or Donnie Peters, all those awesome bets. I'm like, I want a stupid bet like that.
I think the key to that is you need to find richer friends who want to make you do ridiculous things.
Yeah, I'm usually that side of it. I remember going to I went to my buddy's home game, and I was like the celebrity poker player. Okay, clearly yeah, exactly. It was really very D-list. But either way, it was a home game. It was in Fairfax, Virginia, where my buddy lives, and he was like, "Oh my God, come! They all know you. They want you to come." So I came and played. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. And I was like, okay, we were talking about prop bets because that was a big thing in poker. And I was like, okay.
Oh, in this situation, you get to be the rich guy making your friends do crazy things.
Exactly. So I actually bet a guy, and you would know this as an eater. There was like a package of like supermarket cupcakes, but not the mini ones, the big cupcakes.
Oh, fun.
And I offered a guy $100 to eat the whole thing, the whole like dozen of them.
Tuck, you're lighting money on fire.
In an hour. No, not for a regular guy. Those cupcakes that are like fluffy, doughy?
Yeah, I just bought them last week. I buy them like every week.
Okay, well, I didn't bet you. This guy, like seven into it, he was just crying, and everybody's dying laughing. His mouth was just like fluffy vanilla dough, not even tasting good because they come from a supermarket, cupcakes. Just he was begging me to buy him out. I was like, nope, I want to see this pain.
Yeah, I think that was the goal of my friend. I think he wants to see me as much pain as possible. I don't think he realized it needed to be like 80 nuggets for that.
Yeah, 60 nuggets aren't going to do it, and I don't even buy that 80 is going to do it either. But I'll let you I'll let you spin that tail if you want to. Anyway, let's get into a few things here. First of all, who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you? I mean, who is Melissa Burr? But beyond the poker player that we know, beyond the pool player that you came up. By the way, your pictures of you as a pool player. Like smoking hot. Like, not kidding.
Wow. Well, I mean, it was 20 years ago, so.
It was not 20 years ago.
It was. Yeah, I'm 38, and I think those pictures were taken when I was like 19. Because okay. Before poker, I was definitely an aspiring professional pool player. Like, that was my thing. I was going to do that. There was nothing going to stop me. And then I found out how much money they make, and I was like, oh. Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
So are you essentially okay, are you the Asian Nick Schulman, or is Nick Schulman the white male Melissa Burr?
No, Nick and I actually grew up like playing pool around the same time. Even though he's significantly younger than me, he was just a kid when I was playing. I actually played him in a tournament it was all man field, all man. In New York one time, and I think he was like 15 or 16 at the time, and so we kind of grew up at the same time. I would have to say, given his poker accolades, that I would be the Asian female version of Nick Schulman if I had to guess.
What were your interactions with him way back when? Do you remember it?
No, him and I didn't really interact too much. He had his own circle. We came from different areas. Like I came from like the Delaware, South Jersey area, and he was in New York. So it kind of just like passed by each other in tour stops. And then when he started playing poker, I was like, wow, I played pool with him, that kid. And he's just like always going to be known as a kid to me. But fun fact, this is one of my favorite moments with Nick. When we were playing the 50K table together, It was a tough table, and
Shocking.
all these people were like lined up on the rail, like taking photos. And I won't say which player was getting annoyed by this, but a player like was just like, oh, I wish they'd stop taking pictures. Like, this is annoying. I'm trying to play. And, I never really hear Nick, be kind of controversial or like out loud. He's not really vocal at the table. He doesn't say much. And it's, as his players ranting, Nick's like, you know what? You should be happy that they're taking our picture. Like, this isn't the NBA. This is a poker tournament. You should be lucky. You should count yourself lucky that we even have fans. And that just, I respected him before that, and that made me respect him on a whole new level.
That's pretty awesome. My ex-mother-in-law, by the way, so you can do the math. I was married before and divorced. So my ex-mother-in-law is Juliet Mills, who's famous actress. She's been acting for the last 60 years. Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
I was at Disneyland with her or California Adventureland. Either way, I was at one of those parks. Back before COVID, clearly, and back before I was married to a different woman, because that would be awkward also. Right. But anyway, I digress. I was there with her, and she gets attention because she's like Nanny and the Professor, way back when. Right. So she has old school fans, and people come up to her and be like, oh. And in LA, people don't get approached too much because it's just, everybody knows somebody who's famous and everybody knows everybody's an actor. But at places like Disneyland and stuff like that, where you have a lot of tourists, you do get approached. Anyway, so she gets, she got a couple people like, oh my God, can I get a picture with you? Da-da-da. And after like 2 or 3 times, I actually just asked her, I was like, hey, does that annoy you? I was like, you're with family. Because sometimes you see like,
yeah,
like if I'm
you
with my kids, it's like, oh, leave me alone. I'm like, and she's like, no, she's like, she's like, I'm worried about, I'm more worried when they stop asking. She's like, she's like, the fact that they care, the fact that they actually, want to have a picture with me is the reason I've been able to make a living doing what I love for the last, 60 years. And I know poker is not that, but.
Oh, no, it's not close.
But I still think that. But I still think you can make a living as a poker player without being famous. But I appreciate what Nick said there. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I did too. Especially coming from someone who is so accomplished, to think like that, it's pretty humbling. Plus, I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And here, these people are complaining. I'm like, oh man, this is kind of cool though.
Yeah, you're playing a $50K, Players Championship. There's rails up. You're playing with some of the most famous players in the entire world. It's a $50,000, such a huge tournament, such a big deal. I always talk about with the World Series of Poker how bracelets are not created equal, and that one is just special. And the fact that there are fans that cheer you on, I think, is awesome.
Yeah, me too.
So, Eddie, how'd you get into poker? I mean, I'm sure you. I'm going to ask you some boring questions, and then we'll get into more.
That's okay.
More in-depth stuff. But I'm curious. I've obviously known you for a while, but shockingly, I don't think I've ever done commentary with you. I don't know why. I don't know if you're you just don't want to do it, or you don't.
Yeah,
like me.
Typically, I made a special exception for you here. I don't normally do like a bunch of podcasts or interviews. I've been told I say some outrageous things that I shouldn't say, so I've kind of stayed out of the publicity eye of things, except for my Twitter account. So that's probably a reason why we haven't done anything prior to this.
You're safe here because nobody listens to this podcast except like my best friend in Fairfax, Virginia, and my mom. So that's it. So you're cool. Don't worry. You can say anything.
All right.
Yeah, this is just you and me having a conversation.
That occasionally 2 or 3 people might listen to.
Right.
Okay, so I got into poker. Actually, I stemmed from pool. When I was playing pool, I was playing 12 hours a day. I was practicing nonstop. And then at the end of the day, these guys, I would gamble with them in pool. And lo and behold, I find out they gamble at the end of pool. And, I wandered in one day and they were playing poker in the back room. This had to be 2001. Okay. And in the back room, they were playing 50-cent $1 limit hold'em. And I had never played before.
That sounds so horrific, ever. By the way, right now.
I know.
2001, it sounds so awesome, but God.
But people are like, how did you get in the limit? I'm like, this is the first thing I learned how to play. Yeah. And I didn't really learn how to play. So I was like, well, I want to play. So I sat down. And I just for the first hour, I just watched what was happening. And I was just watching these hands. And again, I don't know anything about poker, but I was just watching these hands 8-3 get turned over, and I was just kind of doing the math. I'm like, that can't be a good hand statistically. Now, like, because I was in college and I'm Asian, so I can do math. Like, so all this just adding up
Dude,
to like
that's,
not being.
that's such a stereotype. Fuck, it's 2020. You can't say shit like that.
Yeah, see, this is why I don't do interviews.
No, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, so I was just like kind of figuring out, piecing together. I'm like, what these dudes are doing is can't be correct. It just can't be right. So then like I kind of went on like a deep dive because it's just like it was really interesting. And these guys were like losing in pool. So I was like, how can I extract even more money from these guys? You know, because they're letting me play. You know, they're just like they're letting me do these things. I'm like, I might as well just like try to make a couple of bucks. I was winning in tournaments and whatnot in pool. So I was like, this seems like I can make a couple of hundred here or there. And so yeah, that's how I got into it. Then I found online poker. And then, you know, before I knew it, like 6 months later, I was like 24 tabling limit poker on Stars, trying to be Supernova Elite, or no, lack thereof now. But yeah, and then I just kind of like just processed a bunch of information and landed on limit poker, and I just like never left it for some reason.
And to this day, you're still like mixed game specialist. You just play. Do you play big bet poker at all, really, or no?
I do. So, fun fact: when I moved to Mexico after the 2014 series for 2 years to play online, and you know, I didn't know what I was going to get into. I hadn't been like keeping track of online and whatnot. I just decided to move to Mexico one day, and the games on there, the mixed games, are not very good. And if they are good, as soon as like a recreational player quit, the game breaks. People don't even take their big blind. The game just snap breaks. It's
this was
brutal.
2014, 15-ish, right?
15, 16, yeah.
Okay.
These mixed games online were like brutally hard, and they were just like they were hit and runners. Like it wasn't a consistent. There was no way I could make a living at that.
Right.
No
For
way.
what it's worth, by the way, I mentioned to you. So I'm playing in this fun little like 10-20 mixed game online. It's 21 different games, but I think there's I think they purposely kept people like you out, so the game is really good.
Yeah.
And I am not. I literally have. I'm not even kidding. I'll put it up on Twitter, guys. You can follow me at Talk on Sports. I literally have a PDF on my computer screen that I bring up
of the rules
of some of the games. I'm like, okay, which one am I playing now? Archie. Hold on. Yep. Okay, I got it. So I'm literally. I mean, I'm not even kidding when I tell you that out of the 21 games, there are like 6 or 7 of the games that I never played before until I started playing with these guys. And yet, I'm still like you. I'm still looking at it going, that can't be right. Like, that guy is going, that guy's got like 70% chance of winning half the pot. That can't be good in a heads-up pot. I'm sorry. That just can't be good. Anyway.
Yeah, continue. And that's the beauty of these mixed games. You know, when they were all coming out, like, the skill wasn't, there are so many different skills involved in like being a mixed game professional as opposed to no limit. Like there are so many different games that are coming out new and every day. And the number one skill set that you could have is to stay above the curve of just learn faster than everyone else. So just like learn that that's not a good hand to call too cold. You don't even need to know what the math is. You don't need to know what a good hand looks like. You just kind of need to stay ahead of what everyone else is doing. Well, then gradually you just become a competent player.
I mean, isn't poker similar to athletics in the sense that comparing poker players to different eras, the same way as comparing athletes to different eras, is just completely fruitless and pointless? Because obviously the athletes of today are going to be superior to the athletes that you and I grew up with. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're better in every regard, right? If I took a professional athlete from today and I put him in 1978 or 1985, they would destroy. They would just crush.
Oh, they would decimate the field, yeah.
Yeah, it's just they're bigger, they're stronger. I mean, imagine LeBron James playing in like 1981. They'd never seen anything like that. Nobody'd be like, "Holy shit! How did that even get created?" Are you kidding me? Hockey players as well. I mean, all that, and I feel like poker players the same way. I mean, yeah, obviously the no limit hold'em specialist from today would. I mean, it would. I don't even know what kind of carnage it would be, but I feel like to judge a poker player, to judge an athlete, you have to always judge them against their peers of their time. And to your point, if you can just stay better than the competition at that moment, you're going to be a lifetime crusher.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's the same in athleticism. If you just took an athletic guy and then invented a new sport, and he just learned the rules faster than everyone else, and he was just more athletic. He's just going to win. And that's just the way, that's the way mixed games are in poker. And to be honest, No Limit just seemed like such an uphill battle, like in the beginning, because I made a decision, which path to go. And because I grew up like in the moneymaker boom, I saw it happen, and I saw these people wanting to play No Limit, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. I was like, and the other thing was, if you ask anyone who's played with me, they're going to tell you I'm a giant nit. A giant nit. Like I just like lay in the weeds and I just turn over the best hand and then I win. Like that's my whole strategy. If people are trying to pick apart my game, that's what it is. That's what it is. There's like four guys that just like, don't believe me, and I just have the nuts. And I turn it over and they're like, okay, here's $800, sure.
But it's limit. But it's limit. So I mean, it's not like anybody can fold anyway, because by the time you turn over the nuts, maybe they know by 7th straight that you're turning over the nuts, or after the third draw if you're playing a different game. But at that point, they're getting 9-1, so they can't fold anyway. Well, that's the other beauty of things, is that like you can't make too big of a mistake in the eyes of the player. Like, oh, it's only one bet. But in No Limit, when you get stacked, that takes like a psychological toll, and you're like, oh my god, I just lost all of my money in front of me, and I didn't want to have that kind of mental turmoil. So I was like, one bet at a time. If I fuck up, it'll be okay. So from a mental perspective, is limit poker more suited to you? Yeah, for sure. Especially the high-low games that are like super low variance. Like I can just navigate that way. Even if I run super bad, I know it's going to be okay. But No Limit, man, there's just something so demoralizing about just like shoving your chips to the next guy next to you. Like, here, take all of my money that's in front of me. I'm beaten here. Then you have to go rebuy. It's very demoralizing. I didn't want to have that in my life. Right. Okay. Fair. I get it. The psychological toll. I understand. Hey, what's your strongest game? I'm going to ask a two-part question here, but what's your strongest game in a vacuum? Stud 8 or better. Okay. What's your strongest game relative to the competition? Stud 8 or better. Okay. Wow. Same answer. Because it's funny, like No Limit Hold'em is probably my strongest game, but relative to the competition, I would probably go with I might even go with Stud 8 or better, or a different game like that, some sort of mixed game, just because some of the competition is just woefully awful. Yeah, I mean, that Stud 8 or better is a game that, I don't know what it is about it, that players are just, determined to play it the worst way possible. They don't care. And a lot of it, I think, this is going to sound like sexist or ageist or whatever you want to call it, but, the older generation just refuses to change. So the guys that play these mixed games, they're just I've learned how to play a certain way. I'm not changing it no matter what. And that's the allure of mixed games. Whereas No Limit, you got kids constantly how can I get better? How can I get better? I'm playing with guys that are blatantly refusing to get better. They're bucking change. They're no, my way is the right way. And you're not convincing them otherwise. Right. And I would imagine that the vast majority of players, the funny thing is, and the annoying thing is, the only time I really play Stud 8 or better is during the summer at the World Series of Poker. So, I'll do commentary, and then I'll finish commentary, and then I'll pop into the 50-100. It used to be a 75-150 game, and I'll play in that game. It's one of the only times where a Stud 8 or better game is played by itself. And I love it. Yeah. And the players in that game, it's the same guys every year, and their average age of 62 is now 67. Exactly. Yeah, they learned how to play the game back in 1978, and they haven't changed. Yeah. And this whole COVID thing was very scary because this virus targeted my entire player pool. I hope these guys. Wait, I'm glad your priorities are. I'm glad your priorities are right. This COVID thing is really scary because, quote unquote, this COVID thing is really scary because it targeted my whole player pool. Well, I did two things. In the start of this virus, I made sure that my parents were staying home. And then I called my favorite players. I'd be like, guys, this is nothing to joke about. You need to stay home. I don't care. Just stay in your house in Margate or wherever it is. Just don't leave. Home Depot can wait. So essentially, if you are listening to this somehow, and Melissa called you, she either one of two things. She either really genuinely loves you, or she loves you in her game. Yeah. I mean, safety first, guys. Safety first. Your money is really important. Safety first. Have you been playing online since all this happened? Where do you live, by the way, now? I live right outside Atlantic City. Okay, you still live. So you're I was gonna say, so you're South Jersey all the way. You've never left, besides Mexico. Yeah, besides Mexico, no, I never left.
I mean, for a brief period, I lived near Parks because they were running a game pretty consistently, and then I wound up coming back to Brigantine. I've lived in Brigantine for probably like 10 years on and off.
So you're still Atlantic City. There you go. So you can play, obviously you're in Jersey, so you can play online there legally.
Yes.
Okay. How are the games online?
How are the regulated games online? How are the online games?
I'll ask both. How are the regulated games online?
So they've gotten like some pretty interesting like tournament series that went around. Like I played I don't know what it was, the the Scoop that just passed in Stars, New Jersey. That was a pretty good series. And they had a couple limit tournaments. They had an 08. They have like a high roller and a low roller. Those are pretty good. I haven't seen any like really bad tournaments go off. And since the inception of New Jersey, all of the regulated poker has been pretty good. I mean, you start to see the same regulars over and over again in some of these tournaments, but for the most part, I would say it's pretty good. If you're a professional that plays online in New Jersey, like you're probably doing pretty well in No Limit, if I had to guess.
What about unregulated sites?
Better than ever.
Better than
but
ever.
But I'm not playing No Limit. I'm playing in private home games that are playing mixed games, similar to yours, but they're letting me play.
Right. I mean, listen, I wouldn't say that they might let you play. I got invited myself, so I mean, they don't.
They might not. They might not let you play knowing we did this podcast.
They might. Well, I've now won okay, listen. I think they think I'm pretty awful. And again, like I said, I'm like learning half these games. I'm like learning on the fly, but my poker sense is pretty good. So I'm already like learning. I'm like, okay, this guy's never bluffing. She's, she always like she checks back. Like she'll in single draw, like I'll raise pre, she'll call, I'll stand pat and then check, and then she'll check back a 9.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
noticed that last night, and I have no deuce to 7 single draw experience. Okay, but I love it. I love the game, and I had so much fun. So I played it last night, and literally, for any of you watching at home, listening at home, I mean, when I stand pat there, like, yeah, I guess I could be trapping occasionally, but I'm gonna have a lot of like jacks there, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, as a general, I mean, you should just never check a 9 in single draw.
Yeah, it's just a really good hand.
It's tough to make a 9 in one draw, man.
That's what I mean.
It's tough to make a 9 in 3 draws, man.
Right. I had a jack. Like I had a jack 10. So I was like, okay. And I was in like late position, so I raised, and she calls, and I'm like, okay, I guess I just stand pat, and she took 1, and I was like, okay, I know I'm a favorite.
Yeah, you're a 60-40 favorite.
But
maybe more 70-30. Yeah.
Right. If I check and she bets, then I'm just guessing, right? So.
Well, Tuck, I would take that bet that you were supposed to lose and go buy something. Oh my God!
Right? Are you kidding me? The fact that she checks back a 9, I'm like, okay. Well, that's certainly
found money on the street.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Anyway. So where the hell was I going there? Oh, in terms of the games and getting into the games and stuff like that, like. They're going to keep me in the game because they think I'm terrible, which is great. But I think people have thought I've been terrible for poker 15 years, which is cool. Great. Fish on a heater.
You're pretty confident. You're pretty confident that no one's listening to this podcast.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They listen to the podcast. I don't care. Nobody cares. Like, okay. Do you know do you know Joe Wynn, LA player? LA grinder?
No, I do not.
Okay, so Joe Wynn.
I'm sorry, Joe.
That's okay. Joe Wynn won a stud 8 bracelet way back when. When I first started propping at the bike many, many, many years ago, he kind of took me under his wing. He was a regular there. Didn't work at the casino, but he was a regular, and he took me under his wing. And when I was propping, I had to play Limit Hold'em. No Limit wasn't even there yet. I had to play Limit Hold'em, 08, Horse, a lot of stud 8. Actually, I had a 2040 stud 8 game at the bike and all these different things. And he took me under his wing, and he taught me a lot about all the different games, right? And I was like, okay, so we'd play together, and then we would go to like the little cafe, and he would be like, yeah, you did this and you did this, and I'd be like, all right. But then even sometimes, like right at the table, he would say something to me, and I would be like, Joe, you can't say it right in front of the players. And he's like, these guys don't give a shit. Tiger doesn't change his stripes. They're not going to change anyway. They don't care.
Well, Joe had a really good point, but you should probably keep the strategy to the dinner.
Yes. I guess that was my point. Anyway, so unregulated games have been really, really good. You trust them. There's no worry in that regard?
No, I do worry. Not with the ones that I play in, but I only play with sites that I do trust, with people that I do trust with the money and whatnot. And there's a lot of unregulated sites out there that are going to exit scam after all this dies down. And I would urge it very carefully. Anyone who's playing on an unregulated site to adhere to those kind of rules. Like, you should trust the person that you're dealing with. You should trust that they're going to make good on the money. But that being said, I would say that like over 50% of these sites are going to go down, and a lot of people are going to be left, with a small Black Friday situation, but with people they thought they knew. So I would just be careful.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest fear is it's not just a matter of trusting the person. Like, let's say you get an agent who gets you into a site. It's not just a matter of trusting them. It's also realize that they're, they have to rely on the people that are above them. And if somebody at the top defaults, like, and your friend that you trust is suddenly on the hook for, a lot of money, they just might not be able to make you whole.
Well, I mean, that's kind of it's tough to talk about because you should be able. The agent is responsible for all of the money. So if the agent takes that job, knowing that could happen on the other end, or they should know that the site operator could just close down and not pay anybody. But in the meantime, the agent that's their responsibility, and that's why you should really, really trust your agent also, because even if it was one of my good friends where they fell in hard times and everything shut down, I'd feel bad for that, but they did take the responsibility knowing it going into it. So,
well, they're making money off the game,
of course,
and
yeah,
with that they have that responsibility. I agree 100%. Like, and I'll just reiterate what you just said in the sense of like be really careful out there, everybody, because at some point something's going to happen. And it's not just going to be like a Bill Perkins Jungle Man situation. It's not just going to be like a fact of like you got ghosted. It's just going to be like, boom, site's gone. Cool. Where's your $12,000? Right.
And it's similar to a Black Friday situation. But there's no one that's going to make good on that.
Oh yeah, good luck on that.
Yeah, good luck. The fact that even the players got their money back from that was a blessing. Took 5 years, but whatever. There's no one in 5 years that's going to pay back Poker Bros, like, for sure.
No, and as evidenced by the whole Mike Postle case and whatever went down there, it's very clear that our judicial system doesn't give a shit. So
no,
they're not going
to. And
they
don't even care. No, and they're not taking any steps to learn either. So
no, right, exactly.
Tread carefully, guys.
Without a doubt. I mean, I imagine the games are so good though, or it's. I imagine the games are so good that you're like, okay, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of risk, but the games are so good that I'm willing to do it anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you get to a point where you're like, all right, well, I've written off this money. If they disappear tomorrow, it would suck, but all right, you've made X amount of dollars. That's kind of how you have to take these things. Like, you have to expect it coming so that when it does, you're prepared. Like a lot of my friends got caught holding a bag. They had their life rolls on full tilt. Ugh. And they were just like, oh my God, it destroyed lives. So, I mean, hopefully in this situation, like, guys are not having their entire roll on the site posted. And they just get beat for, a small amount of money that they can live with. But I know a lot of people in the past have not.
Unfiltered Melissa Burr.
You go.
I'm sure I'm going to make some enemies on this, but how fucking stupid do you have to be to have your life roll on a fucking online poker site? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even put my life roll like in a safe deposit box at a casino.
Well, to be fair, now I'm going to really show my age. I feel like there was a point where Party Poker was offering like an interest rate to keep your balance on there. So in their defense, and it was something small, like 2% or even 2 or 3% or something like that. And some people might not even remember this, but they did. They offered that. I don't think Full Tilt did or Poker Stars, but some people could have had incentive, but other people could have just been lazy, or they're just playing too big for their bankroll because, if you have 50K online and you need 50K online, that's probably too big.
Right. That's
probably too big.
Right. And if losing the 50K really, really affects your life, then it is too big.
Yeah. Like, at any point, like getting beat for money sucks, but like if all of it is on there, like you're definitely in too deep. So I think a lot of people are not going to make that mistake again, especially nowadays with how fast transactions go, like with regulated online, how you can deposit and withdraw. I don't think we're ever going to be in a situation like that again, hopefully. But, there are people that are probably, just have 100 online and they just like, oh, well, if it happens, it happens. I don't know why they would keep it on there, but you never know.
I mean, if anything, I would just spread it out. I mean, I will tell you as a live poker player, I have money at safe deposit boxes, at Commerce, at the Bike, at various different casinos around here. And I purposely actually keep it at different casinos, and I don't travel with money. But I'm like, you never know. I get a call from somebody be like, oh my God, the action here is amazing. I want to be able to go there and just have money there. And then if, I obviously, I never predicted a situation like this, but I do remember when the Bike was shut down by the DOJ.
Oh, I remember this, yeah.
And nobody had access. I didn't play at that point, but I heard the stories from old-time players, and they were like, yeah, nobody had access to their safe deposit boxes for a while. And I was like, well, I don't want to be in a situation where I can't get any of my roll. So I purposely, I divvy it up and so I've got 20% in one place, 20% in another, and so forth and so on. Just makes sense.
Yeah, it's just smart.
Yeah, I mean,
they could just burn down tomorrow. You just never know.
That's what I mean, right?
Yeah, like anything could happen. So having your whole roll online in it, like an electronic form, seems asinine to me. Like you said, so
yeah,
I'm the same way.
Just blow my mind. Melissa Burr is under the gun. Of course, I'm David Tuchman. Thanks for joining us, guys. What are your plans for World Series of Poker? Are you playing the online events? I know they're pretty much only on No Limit. Or are you going to be like, fuck that, I'm just playing my own games? Thoughts?
Oh man, you really do want me to be unfiltered here.
Please be unfiltered.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
All right. So obviously, I'm one of the people that takes a huge issue with how they're doing this. And I thought that WSOP.com had like a redeeming quality, that they had one limit 08 tournament. It was a 1K. And then I found out that it was a misprint, and it's actually PL08. So they don't have one single limit event. And now, that's kind of really, really angering, because their software is equipped to handle Stud 8 and 08, and yet they're still not putting out a series for this. Which, I haven't overly bashed them. I try not to do this except for PokerStars, but come on, you have the software. This was just laziness in its purest form. They just couldn't throw together two events that had Stud 8 or better, or Omaha. I don't understand. There's literally no reason for it. And I'd love to get an answer, but I know I never will. So I know I'm just screaming into the void.
Well, I could probably, hey, listen, I could give Ty Stewart or Jack Effel a call and get him on. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, I'll probably never work for them again, but I can ask them.
Yeah, see if that works. Yeah,
well, no, because I'm curious why. Because it doesn't.
I don't think they know. I don't know who's running WSOP.com in New Jersey, but I don't even think Ty and Jack have a say in this. Whoever did this was just like, fuck it. Here's the schedule. We'll go with this. The rake structure, it's the same in the 1,000 and the 450. It's fine. I don't even know. The weird thing is, though, it's online.
Yeah, the weird thing is, and this is the thing I just don't understand. It's not even a matter. So I'm ignorant in this regard, and anybody who thinks that I'm associated with the World Series of Poker and I know the answers, nope, sorry, I don't know anything. I get a call. Usually it's I get a call or I get an email. It's like, hey, Tuck, do you want to commentate? Sure, I like to work, so that's what I do, and I love it. That said, though, online there's no limitations. It's not like you have to we got to get more dealers and more tables. Why can't they? I mean, if you're going to have a World Series of Poker bracelet online series, which by the way makes a ton of sense. Obviously, it's not ideal, but we live in 2020 in the middle of COVID. We can't have a live series. This is.
We might agree to disagree here, Tuck.
Okay, well we'll get to that in a second then. Okay, but either way, let's just make an argument and say, okay, they're trying to make the best of it. I know people are criticizing the NHL and Major League Baseball and all these different things. Fuck it, let's skip. And you might look at it and be like, well, we're living in kind of, crazy times, and we're trying to make the best of it. Okay. But I don't understand why you wouldn't have, if you're going to have a 3 p.m. start time for No Limit Hold'em tournament, why not at the same exact time run a Stud 8 tournament? I mean, I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I'd love to hear the answers, or even have someone from the site come onto Twitter or come onto some sort of forum where they could explain what happened. And even if they're like, oh man, we fucked up, it was an oversight, I could even accept that.
But
like,
they can still add them, though.
Nothing at all.
You can always add them, though. It doesn't.
Apparently, there are some changes coming out, but I have no idea. And it was just so thrown together at the last minute. I don't think anyone really put too much thought into it, except just like, here, let's run a bunch of no limit. We'll slap a bracelet on it. We're going to make a ton of money in rake, and yeah, we're going to call it the World Series. But you know what? Fuck the mixed games. We're not going to have those because who cares about those people anyway?
Right, but the thing that's weird about that is it every summer they seem to pay a lot of attention to the mixed games. So that's the weird thing about it. It's like, if anything, I give Jack Eichel credit. Listen, before you, I want your rant, but before you rant, I do want to give him credit, like in a sense, like they added, like, you know, the dealer's choice, and they feel like they've tried new things each and every summer to add new events to the schedule that makes everybody happy. It's just odd that they wouldn't do it online if the software has the capabilities. That is.
Well, let me speak to that, because
Please.
I'm guessing this is more of a, John Hennigan plays stud 8. Let's get John Hennigan in here. All these big players that are playing these huge nosebleed cash games, they all play mixed games. Let's get them in here. I don't think John Hennigan, I could be wrong, I could text him and find out, but I don't think he's playing the $400 no limit. I don't think he cares. I don't think they're trying to get him because it's not like a visible event. But I think when they have the summer series, these games become important because they're important to important people. And I think that's like just could not be more out of touch with what's happening in poker right now. You know, God love these big players and the celebrities, and a lot of players come out to see them at the World Series. But they should listen to everybody. They shouldn't just listen to them. And I think that player panel comprised of, like, you know, players who are prevalent in the community, a lot of them are mixed game players. So I think they leaned on them and they listened to what they had to say. I don't really think they have that voice for the series, pushing them to do the mixed games and things like that. I think it only matters to them when it suits them. That's actually my real opinion on that.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of John Hennigan, by the way, Johnny World, of course. Are you guys friends?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he knocked me out that year.
I recently heard a rumor that the Bobby's Room online game he was kicked out of.
I don't think I could comment on that.
Is there is there truth to it?
Probably.
Okay. Is it just because he's beating the game?
That happens in a lot of these private games. And people will say that these private games are only kicking out the pros that are like antisocial or, not bringing in anything to the game. But when it comes down to it, I think a lot of these private games are just kicking out winners, which is, it's their right to kick out private games to choose who they play with. But when you're in a public place like Bellagio or Aria, I don't think that you should be able to do that. Or if you do, you're operating under a certain set of rules, like these 10 players get to sit, and then there's a list. And I know that this has been really controversial among the high stakes community. And I do believe that private games should choose who they get to play with. Because I benefit from this a lot. Because when I play a game, I try to be social. I try to be funny. I try to be personal. I try to bring something else other than the fact that I'm just taking money out of the game. And I think a lot of professionals don't.
You were about to say, I'd like to bring more to the game, the fact that I'm just smoking hot.
No.
You were about to say that, weren't you? You narcissistic fuck.
That is not. I was bragging about how much money I was winning. That was not where I was going with that.
I'm kidding. Hey, okay. So you touched on it, so we'll go there. The private games. Let me ask you this then, from a casino point of view. I have been at Aria, and I have sat with a friend at a private game at Aria. Okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't play in the game. I just sat at the game. And question I have for you is, what do the casinos do to compete with the home games then? If you are running that poker room, what do you do? Because that's where, home games basically, when I remember when home games were kind of prevalent in LA and stuff, and obviously they still are, my thought process, I'm like, why would anybody play in a home game in LA? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you pay more rake with less security, have to worry about cheating, getting robbed, all these different things, possibly getting stiffed? I mean, why would I do that when there's like 7 or 8 card rooms all within driving distance of my house? I mean, it just didn't make any sense to me. And then, I talked to some people about it, and you realize you're like, oh, the games are really good, and some of the fish and some of the, they don't want to play at the casino because it's so predatory and all these different things. So if you're a casino operator, if you're a poker room operator, how do you compete with the home games? How do you stop losing those games?
I think there's a right way to do it and a wrong way. I think that they're allowed to start a private game. Like I said, I think you can start with 8 people that you handpick and say these 8 players are getting a seat. But that list should remain pristine. That list should be, you should go by the list. If those 8 players are playing, when a seat opens up, you should give it to the next player on the list. But that's not how they're doing things. They're handpicking the entire day. They're handpicking who can play and who can't. And when you're going to be that public, you can have certain things, but you can't have it all. And I think that, I'm caught in between a rock and a hard place because I do see what they're saying. I watch these guys. I watch these pros just come in. They think they're just going to earn a paycheck, not have to do anything. And I've typically been on the other end of that where I'm like trying to start games. I'm the one calling people, texting people, putting a game together, making sure the times are right, making sure people will get there and get a seat and have a good time inside a casino. And I watch these guys just stroll in and they just sit down and they don't have to do anything. So I get it. Like the antisocial people, they don't want them in the game. That's to each their own. They don't have to talk to anybody. But you can't actually be surprised when these people start forming alliances outside of the casino and saying, this is what we want and this is what we're going to do. I've obviously played in a lot of private games. There's a lot of allure that goes to it. But again, just like the online sites, you go to where it's safe, that you trust the person who's running the sheet, you trust the game. And typically, almost 99% of the time, that game is better than what you're going to find in a casino.
Right.
But
when you say running the sheet, what do you mean by sheet?
Because a lot of the private games, you don't bring, if you're playing 200, 400, no one's bringing 20K into the room. So they just keep track and they square up at a different time.
Have you ever played in a private game where you've been stiffed?
No, never.
Never? Wow, you're lucky.
No, never, knock on wood, yeah.
That's knock on wood. That's amazing. That's an amazing thing there. I mean, and I know there are some private games that are played at Aria and other casinos. And I'm not just signaling on Aria. There's other casinos that do the same thing, obviously, other poker rooms, that they even say, they're like, no, it's open to everybody. But the host who's running the game, not only do they bring their list of 8 players, but then they'll have a waiting list of 5 people that are like, oh, they're on their way. They're on their way. And so a seat can stay open for, 2-3 hours while the player on the list is on their way.
Yeah, I mean, and the casino's letting it happen, so they're letting them essentially run the game.
Yeah. I don't know what the answer is though, from a casino standpoint. I understand it's a business, and I don't know what the right answer is, because I think if you're a professional poker player, there is an obligation to keep the game fun. Otherwise, you lose your customers. That's part of it. I learned that from Gabe Thaler years and years and years ago. Okay. Kind of like my first mentor of mentors was Gabe. Anyway, and he told me, he's like, that's part of what we do. He goes, I know I'm a better poker player than all these guys. My job is not to beat them at poker. My job is to keep them entertained and make sure that when they lose money, they're having fun. But I just wonder from a poker room standpoint, they're like, well, if I lose the 5 fish to private games, then the pros stop coming in and I don't have a poker room anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's other solutions, but it boils down to what people want to do. And the casino, they're going to do the best that they can, but I think they can do it more ethically. I don't know. They can, with more transparency. Like, if they say this is how it is, fine. If that's the way it's going to be, then that's fine. But what happens after this? And they just need to be a little bit more transparent about that. Because I think they are directly competing with these home games, and they're offering a better service. They're offering better, in some instances, better dealers, better security, better, insurance of paying. But I don't know. It's a really tough spot. And I just think that some of them, like Borgata tried it. It didn't work out really well for them.
Borgata tried what?
They tried having a private game.
Okay.
Where they handpicked, and there were pros in that game. They let some of us play. They were like, if you get a seat, you play. But there were also times where pros were in the game and they were told they have to quit. I'm not going to name names, but like a friend of mine was like, he was stuck like 11,000. So like, all right, you have to leave now. And then we tried a different system.
Wait, your friend, a pro, was stuck low five figures, and in the middle of the session was like, you've got to leave?
Yeah, because someone else showed up.
By the way, if that ever happens, I wish, like when I'm stuck big, I wish the casino would actually make me leave. Do you realize how much more money I would be worth? My net worth would be like, I think it would actually be triple what it is right now if the casino just made me leave when I was like severely stuck.
Like, sir, you're not making the best choices. You need to leave now.
How awesome would that be? That'd be sick. I'd love that. I mean, obviously,
yeah, that'd be great.
I wouldn't at the time.
That'd be great in craps. That'd be great in craps or blackjack telling me to leave. But like, if I'm sitting in a poker game, I don't know. That wasn't me, but I would have thrown a fucking fit if that was me. First of all, they'd have to like physically remove me from the seat because I'm not getting up. But okay, so that did happen. The guy just left. Like he was like, "This sucks," Then they implemented this, like they had one pro seat open, and you would have guys that are roving over that seat. Like so, one guy would play for an hour and then get up, and then another pro would play in that seat for an hour and get up. And that was tried, and that also didn't work. So it's hard to please everybody, but in the end, I think transparency is the best thing.
I'm browsing through your Twitter, by the way. By the way, if you guys do not follow Melissa on Twitter, you need to. She is Burberry with many R's. So look up Melissa Burr on Twitter. 5 R's, yeah, Burberry. Is that your online name?
No. I think on World Series, I think it's Burfection, and I forget what it is on the other ones. But I ran a giveaway to pick my screen name when I did it many years ago.
Really? That's so awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
I love that. I'm trying to find this tweet. By the way, so you are doing every day. What's today at the World Series? Have you tweeted that yet today or no?
I did. Today was day 34, and I kind of took a shot at some people that were going broke at the end of the series.
Oh, please read it out to us.
We've all been there. Let's see. Whoops, that's not the one. So today would be the 34th day of the World Series of Poker. I would go to Bellagio and check out the cash games. All the lists are a mile long, so I'd take a walk to the casino. All of a sudden, my wait doesn't seem so bad. I would see 2 Borgata regulars in line for the ATM machine, which has unfortunately happened to all of us. So yeah, but kind of those tweets were just kind of like a friendly. We were throwing some friendly jabs, but we were kind of walking through my 2014 journey and trying to keep it as upbeat as possible, uplifting, if you want, during these tough times.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying them. By the way, yesterday, a couple of days ago, you did your hash house one, which is so fucking true. By the way,
oh my God, it is.
For any of you who have been at the Rio during the World Series of Poker, you have walked by the hash house at 1 or 2 in the morning, and you're thinking to yourself, "God, I would love some eggs right now, pancakes. I want breakfast food at 2 in the morning. I want comfort food. Why is this place not open?"
Yeah, I don't get it, man. And the first time it happened, I was like, oh, maybe they're just like closed for like cleaning or something. And it just kept happening. And every year it just became a thing. You're like, oh, hash house is closed. Weird. Closed again.
I think it's a
like
union thing, by the way.
Not being used.
I think it's a union thing, and it's so idiotic. It's just, it makes no sense to me at all. It's like, listen, you should literally be open 24/7 for the month, for the entire World Series of Poker. And then if you want to just literally close July 22nd through the end of August, you could, and nobody would miss it.
Nobody would miss it, and they would make a ton of money. It literally makes no sense. Yeah, that one really is a head scratcher. I've not been able to figure that out. It's almost like, compared to Chick-fil-A being closed on Sunday, but it's like it's arguably worse.
Yeah, no, it's just so idiotic. Anyway, I know you have a beef with PokerStars. In fact, you recently did a podcast with Stapes, and I assume James Hardigan. Was James Hardigan on it as well?
I did. Yeah, it was Poker in the Ears with Stapes and Hardigan, and it's
Hardigan's
kind of
my
my
boy.
bad.
I love Hardigan, but you were on this podcast, And you and Stars are like not seeing eye to eye. What's going on with that? What happened?
Yeah. So when I moved to Mexico, when I realized I couldn't play mixed games, I was like, oh, well, I was always like in the hunt for Supernova Elite. I knew the benefits. I was like, you know what? I'll try to take a run at that. And I actually put like 1.5 million hands into no limit cash games, to be able to break even and try to obtain the status. The year that I was like relatively close, I think I had 600 VPPs out of 1 million that I would have needed. They announced that they were doing away with the program in like October. And they announced it at the end of the year. And for those of you that don't know, Supernova Elite is a tier that you get to so that you can reap the benefits of the following year, because it puts you in the rakeback category that was somewhere near 50%, and all these bonuses and perks that bump you up for the following year. You don't get them in the initial year that you make them. You get some of them, but not all of them. So for them to drop this news at the end of the year and kind of just leave everybody who was shooting for it, everyone who had obtained it, who worked that hard that year for the next year, kind of just pulled the rug out from them. It was a lot of money that they pulled out from the players, and they injected it into spin and goes and other things. And some of the representatives from PokerStars came onto Twitter, and I was one of the most vocal people about it because I was most severely affected by it. And it was just, if you even ask some of them that were associated with it, they're going to tell you that it was just a complete mess. And they just shouldn't have done it that way. And I know they went public that year. There was a number of things. Anyhow, I didn't know that Stapes and Hardigan were for a PokerStars podcast when I agreed to do this. And then I found out that they were because the PokerStars account that tweeted it has me blocked.
That's awesome.
I don't think they knew I was doing the podcast. I didn't know I was going on their podcast. Either way, I didn't get to see the retweet that had the podcast out. So that's how I found out.
Okay, so this is well, I'm glad I got you on Under the Gun, so this is good stuff. We are not affiliated with PokerStars. In fact, I used to do a lot of work for PokerStars way back in the day. The direction they have gone is just so I mean, I think it goes right to Sean McCormick's tweet, honestly.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, so Sean McCormick tweeted today, and I will read this to you. Let's see. I'm sure I'll upset someone by saying this, but I'm saying it nonetheless. There are far too many people working in the poker industry that couldn't care less about its growth, success, the industry as a whole, or where it will be in the future. Find your passion. Now, there are plenty of people out there that are fantastic and do such a great job that I don't work with. And there are people out there that I do work with that do a great job. And then there's PokerStars, which clearly the direction they have gone in, And I think you can kind of point to when Isai left, right?
Mm-hmm. When they went public and he had left, it kind of just became a corporate money grab machine. And I still think it's to this day. I don't think they're ever going to revert back because there's no reason for them to.
No, it's not. There's none. And by the way, if you're at home and you can play online and you're listening to this and you're like, hey, where can I play? How can I make a difference? Hey, play on sites that actually give a fuck about you. How about that? That's one thing you can do. I mean, can you imagine I'm going to use a stupid analogy, but it makes sense because I've been home so much and I've been gardening and my fucking brain is mush. But can you imagine, like, planting a garden, tending to it all year, going through it? You're going to reap the benefits next year because it's going to fruit, and you're going to be like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm going to get fruit. And then somebody just comes in and fucking rips it all out in October.
Yeah, and they're just like, yeah. It was the biggest middle finger they could have given to their most loyal players because these players are playing the highest volume. Okay, they're fine. They're winners. But they're keeping your lights on. They always say, about businesses that, the regulars in your business keep the lights on. And that's what these people were. And they just for years and years and years, this was rewarded for being that loyal, that customer. For years, I wanted to be a PokerStars pro. That's all I wanted to do once I got into poker. And then this happened. And I was like, this was such a slap in the face to all players and how specifically those of us that were most loyal to them. And it was just like, it was an unbelievable stunt that was.
Yeah. For what it's worth, by the way.
I will never stop putting them on blast on Twitter for that. I'm never going to forget that.
Good.
Like,
and
that
by the way,
company is dead to me.
I've now found, you can find, if you check out Burberry on Twitter, you'll find numerous blasts on PokerStars, and I enjoy them all. You're actually much funnier than I ever knew you were, which is awesome. For what it's worth, by the way, I have no problem with them ending the program. But
no, I don't either.
That's a program that needs to be ended and then said, okay, whoever has built up this, we'll finish it this year, but for the following year, just know it's not going to continue.
Right.
That's all. So you've got to reward the players that have put the time in already.
The parallel, right? Like, so during this whole COVID thing, Borgata, this is one of the great things about them, or MGM Properties, I believe. They, because people that were Noir or had gathered like a platinum card, they said if you earned that card in 2019, they were going to make good on it till 2022 January. So the people that couldn't keep up their status, they're going to let them keep that. That's like the inverse of Poker Stars.
Yeah, that's
so like,
who's that? It's Borgata?
MGM Properties.
MGM stand there. Good.
Yeah, we can't. We know that you can't keep up the status, but here you go. We're gonna let you keep it for another year to try to earn it again. Like, that's the way that you should go for these most loyal customers that are pumping money into your business.
By the way, that's one of my biggest pet peeves in life are the fucking companies out there that all reward new customers as opposed to rewarding the loyal ones. It's, here's your sign up bonus. Here's a sign up bonus. Oh. Wait, you've been with us for 16 years and you're one of our most loyal customers? Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. See, here's the door. We have a bunch of new customers now. We don't need you.
I mean, I think of this analogy. Can you imagine, like, it's almost like, imagine you're loyal to one airline because you want those freaking flyer miles. And you've been saving
then they just took them away.
And they just go, we're going to do away with the freaking flyer, Cyrus. Like, they're worthless right now. Like, whoa, wait, I have $500,000. It's like, I was hoping to go first class to Australia. Yeah, good luck with that now.
Yeah, no, now you have to pay full price.
What are your thoughts on – sorry, go ahead.
But they threw spinning goes in there, so, there's that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why you're whining, okay? Stop being such a bitch. What
no.
Okay, so what's your current thought on where the poker world is at in terms of, obviously we hate Poker Stars. There's certainly some good guys out there. Do you play on ACR? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, are you concerned about like bots and all that bullshit? I mean, I guess playing mixed games just doesn't affect you as much.
Yeah, I recently had this conversation with a friend. The ghosting and those kinds of things, I don't think that they're as prevalent in mixed games as they are in, running deep in a no limit tournament. I don't think Jungleman's standing behind, some recreational player that I'm playing with and he's like, oh, you should raise ace deuce here because you'll probably have them quartered. I don't think it's that much. That being said, that doesn't marginalize how bad this is in the other aspects of poker, and it's all a black eye for all of us, no matter what. I think you're really gonna have a lot of controversy surrounding this World Series bracelet event because all these guys are already talking about having massive stables and players in the same house that are playing on different IP addresses, but they all want to play together. You're gonna have a lot of people, whether it's true or not, coming out of the woodwork saying like, oh, hey, that's not fair. I thought I was playing against, Lovebug 987. All of a sudden now it's like this well-known pro that has like a HUD and all these stats on all these players. Like, it's just not. It's just like not a good look. I don't know.
No, it's not. It's another black eye in the poker world, and it's unfortunate because there are so many people out there that are doing so much good stuff out there. But it's just another black eye. I mean, if you're a recreational player and you're thinking to yourself, wait. Even if I get deep in this tournament against a bunch of recreational guys who are like just like me, I have to worry that they're going to now call their group and somebody else is going to take over for them. I mean, I will tell you that right now, I'm actually not coming up with any of this content for the podcast. I have Jungleman behind me right now. In full ghosting mode. He is feeding me. This is very much like Serrano. He is just feeding me everything I should say.
Yeah.
You probably didn't think ghosting podcast was a thing, but it is.
I really hate dragging Jungleman through this because
I like him. I genuinely like him.
I like him. Yeah, I like him. He's a character. Like, I don't even think he thought he was doing anything wrong. And honestly, I don't even know if he was. I don't even know the whole story behind that. I just know that, like, if someone goes deep for a World Series main event bracelet, like, for millions of dollars, I don't know who's not going to phone a friend here. Like, I just don't know who's not going to do that. But, I mean, and don't even get started. 22 days of entering? Good Jesus Christ. I mean.
Yeah, you're referencing, of course, so there's a WSOP.com bracelet. And I'll come out. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm doing commentary for the WSOP.com the Nevada and Jersey ones. So the actual
Nice.
WSOP.com ones, I am commentating on those every single day from July 1st through the 31st.
Oh my God, I don't want to get you fired. Maybe we should stop talking about this.
No, listen, you have an opinion. It's okay. It's fair to have an opinion. You know, I like I said, I have been, you know, pretty upfront with my thoughts over the years, and you know, anyway, we're at that. But anyway, you know, in terms of the GG one though, there's 22 starting day ones of the main event, which is pretty insane when you think about it.
It's really insane.
I'm curious your take. My take is very simple in the sense of, you know, I know that I know Mike Leah and David Baker and Greg Mueller, and these are all guys I consider friends. I mean, Greg Mueller and I have played hockey together. You know, Baker and I have gone to, you know, I've gone to a Guns N' Roses concert with him at Dodger Stadium. You know, I consider these people friends. I play fantasy hockey with Mike Leah. But I think they're wrong in the sense of, like, the whole, you know, bracelet being devalued bullshit. Because, you know, I to me, it's just all bracelets are not created equal. I'm sorry, if you win, you know, if you win a random 1,500 in the summer, it's not the same as winning the 50K Players Championship. You know, to me, the 10K Six Max, the 50K Players Championship, you know, the 10K PLO, the main event. These are bracelets that are always, especially in today's day and age, they're going to be held in a different light than just another bracelet. You know, especially the bracelets that you win in Europe. You know, but you can look back at the 70s. I mean, some of the bracelets that those old timers won were against fields of like 10 people, 12 people, 18 people. I mean, I think somebody won a bracelet by like with 2. I mean, the year Amarillo Slim won it, he was voted. So,
well, you know,
no, because nobody else wanted it.
We don't know what it is, but GG Poker has a spin a wheel to win. So maybe you spin a wheel and maybe all our names are on there. If we just throw in 500, maybe we'll get a bracelet.
Yeah, so I guess my point is listen, I from a business standpoint, I don't blame the World Series of Poker. They're like, listen, we want more customers. The way for us to get more customers is the bracelet is iconic. The bracelet is what we are, you know, we have the rings for our circuit events. We can't have bracelet events this summer. I know you want to talk about that in a second. We will. But I get that. I don't think that's a big deal. I will come out and say it, though, and I'm honest. I don't like 22 day ones, but I don't like re-entry events, period. I think they're all stupid.
No. I don't know if they're stupid. It's a different form of poker. Just like it would be the difference between limit, hold'em, and study. You have re-entry tournaments and you have freeze-outs.
Okay.
And I think they're played different, so fine. You can have an arena for that. I don't think it's the World Series main event. I think there's a time and place. You can invent any poker game. I don't care if we just high card for an event and you want to call that fine, whatever.
I've got a deck. Do you want to do that right now? We could do it.
Yeah, sure.
We'll gamble.
You got a bracelet for me? Maybe I'll win my first bracelet today.
By the way, I won an event. I won a World Series of Poker event back in 2006. Did not get a bracelet. Son of a bitches. I'm still
wow.
bitter. I'm still bitter.
Wow, you're the person that should be upset by this. You actually won one, and now they're just going to hand out 85 bracelets to a bunch of people that are probably...
Thank you. I won the media event.
Oh.
And I didn't get a fucking bracelet. It's bullshit. I want my bracelet. I want a retroactive bracelet.
That's crazy. They'll give us women bracelets, but they won't give the media? Unbelievable.
That's what I mean, right? You have to beat a bunch of women or the old one? How about the old people's bracelet? It's like, what? Oh, you beat a bunch of old people and you get a bracelet. Oh, my God. Fucking, they just hand them out like handy, and I don't get one for beating a bunch of... I mean, by the way, one of the toughest tournaments in the history of the World Series of Poker was that 2006 media event. I don't want to hear it, okay?
Wow.
By the way, there's somebody out there who thinks we're being serious right now.
I know.
Absolutely.
It happens on Twitter all the time. They're like, is this girl serious with this? Like, no. I need a sarcasm font.
Yeah, no, okay, I get your point. I can get behind that. I mean, listen, if you want to have re-entry tournaments, if you want to have rebuy tournaments, I guess it's just, you know what you're getting into. Yeah. But you'd like to think that, I mean, in all fairness, though, you have to look at it and go, okay, well, this is an online World Series main event, and it's going to be held in a very different light than the main event that we play each and every summer.
I just don't see why. All right, well, let me ask you this question. Are you going to feel differently if the World Series actually comes through and has an event in the fall as a World Series of Poker event?
Am I going to feel differently in the sense of what?
Are you going to feel differently about the online events being bracelet events if the World Series also puts on a live event with bracelets.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I think it's an online series. I think it can be celebrated as that. I think, people are home. They want to play poker. Why not have it? The bracelet is, what the World Series gives out. I know they circuit rings, but they give out bracelets. They want to make this their big thing. It's a business. They've got to make money. I get that. I don't have a problem with it. It's just a matter of listen, you won an online event. Congratulations. Awesome. That is amazing. I'm not going to take anything away from that, but I'm also not going to take away I can look it up right now, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to take away, whatever, Puggy Pearson's bracelet when he beat 8 people back in 1976.
I think that I really applaud them for getting together a series and having one during this entire pandemic. I think every site should. I think they should put together a series. I'm always going to live in the camp. And everyone's been saying it's because people that have bracelets don't want other people to get them, or they want to remain exclusive. I don't have a bracelet,
right.
And I would hope that when I do win, though, that I don't have an asterisk next to it, where I think in my mind I didn't actually win one. Yeah. When I win one, I want it to be a real one. And I know I'm going to get hounded for saying a real one. It's a real bracelet, but to me it wouldn't feel like that, because to me the whole thing is that experience. It's having those people, I don't know, just having people on your rail in the Thunderdome as you win a bracelet. That's just that is the experience that I want, not just sitting at home in my underwear clicking, and then I just beat a guy on the river with ace king. Oh, I want a bracelet. Cool. I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same to me. And I just I really respect the guys that do have bracelets. There's, again, Greg Miller, David Bacon. I love those guys, and I think they deserve it. I think they worked really hard at the game. And I think they should have an opinion of what happens going forward.
I get it. I guess this is my point. No matter how many championships are won, no matter how many bracelets are handed out, it doesn't take away the fact that you won one and it was special and it was an amazing moment for you. Whatever you feel about that particular moment is unique to you. And if winning one in your underwear at home doesn't feel all that special to you, then I get it. And if it's still a matter of my lifetime goal of I want to win the 50K Players Championship, or I want to win one live, and I want the rail there and I want people cheering me on, I get that 100%. I think no matter how many,
they missed a huge opportunity here. They could have recreated another brand that was similar to a bracelet. They could have had a summer series every year this. The World Series ended.
We 100%. I think the World Series poker, I think clearly they could have gone in different directions. I think if there's any criticism the World Series poker deserves, and I'm really, really curious why, I still think the lack of limit games is a far bigger criticism to me than the bracelet handing out thing. I just don't think, to me, I growing up a Met fan and an Islander fan, 1986 is special. The early 80s are really special to me. And no matter how many championships are won through the years by other teams, it doesn't diminish the fact that my team that year was the best. And I remember that feeling. So I just for Greg and David, when they won their bracelets, amazing. Congratulations. They're great guys. They're great players. They deserve it. And if another 10,000 bracelets are awarded over the next 50 years, it doesn't take away the fact that on that given day they're champions and then they have those bracelets. That's my honest thought. Not being a shill for the company at all. I'm like, cool.
Well, I'm not going to say anyone's going to sell their bracelet online, but these guys that went broke and had to sell their bracelet, they definitely are getting devalued with another 10,000 bracelets on the market.
Yes. If you want to sell your bracelet, in all fairness, and these bracelets they're not really all that. The selling market always just baffles me. First of all, who's buying a World Series of Poker bracelet? What is that? Cool, I bought this one? I mean, I guess if you're a big fan, if you're a huge fan of the game, remember those Phil Ivey couple?
Yes.
That's sweet.
Yes,
if they wanted to buy one of Phil Ivey's bracelets and have a picture up of Phil Ivey with him autographing it and his bracelet, that would make more sense to me as, just same as being a Mickey Mantle fan or, a LeBron James fan. But to just buy one, just to have one of a random player that's gone broke and needed to sell it seems so odd to me.
It seems really odd, but hey, if there's a market, there's people selling it.
I guess so, yeah. It's pretty crazy. Once again, Melissa Burr here at Burberry. Follow her on Twitter. So I'm trying to think, what else have we covered that that I wanted to cover. We got we got your Twitter thing. We got your rants about Poker Stars. We have your rant about private games.
By the way, Tuck, there was no way I was going to be able to do this last night.
It just would have been a different, dude. It would have been a different podcast. It's just a different type of podcast.
Yeah, I would have been lighting Poker Stars on fire. I'd be banned from Aria. I'm never allowed to step foot there now again.
I think this has been fairly tame in all good. By the way, I love the tweet from David Lappin, who does a good job on his podcast.
Oh my God!
Seen from
He's
Rounders 2,
yeah.
2025. Mike McDermott. Hey, why do you think the same five guys make it to the final table of the World Series of Poker every year? Joey Kanish, 21 re-entries.
That was so good.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. I am curious, though. I mean, 5K an entry, they're not fucking around. I mean, I have to imagine, I don't think that particular tournament is going to have that many amateurs. Because I feel like the main event...
I
you
think
disagree?
so, too.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was
I
going to say
the same thing.
the main event in Vegas is such a unique animal because you have, for whatever reason, you have a bunch of people that normally play $300, $100 tournaments at home. Suddenly you're like, it's my dream. I want to play the 10K. I want to play this one time. I want to play the main event. I don't think those same people are going to be like, yeah, sign me up for a 5K tournament right now. So to me, this is just going to be a bunch of pros from all over the world playing against other pros, and I guess a handful of satelliters.
That's what I said. I mean, the people that are going to be playing these are going to be people who travel. So like the New Jersey, Nevada ones, no one can play except if you live in that state. What are we, just putting up the biggest fish, richest fish we have to put in this player pool? No. People are traveling to New Jersey who want to travel, who are making plans to be profitable in this event. Like, this is not like this huge like free-for-all. There's not been satellites. There haven't been like, bar tournaments being pumped in entries into this thing. This is just like pure unadulterated poker for the person who wants to play. And that, sorry guys, are good players.
But I'll disagree with you a second, though. The WSOP.com ones, I know a lot of people that are not good players, quote unquote, who are traveling to play in it. But the entry levels on these tournaments are like $400, $1,000, $500. You know, they're I think a lot more approachable from a recreational standpoint. The GG main event one is $5K.
Yeah,
I just don't know how many recreationals are playing a $5K online tournament.
Well, then I read, so I don't know, it might be a little bit more difficult than we realized, because I think Kevin has put it out that in order to play on the GG site, you need to produce a verifiable address. Whereas like in the United States, you can just geolocate to New Jersey and then play using your bank account in, Idaho or whatever. But GG, I think, is saying that you have to have a verifiable address in one of the countries that's permitting you to play. That might be a roadblock for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know GG, I've heard rumors that I know some sites are kind of really strict about VPNs, Like if you play on a VPN on a particular site, you're going to get nailed. There's no way you're going to play on it. It's just not going to work. 888 Poker, who I do a lot of commentary for, and by the way, I'm doing a live event tomorrow. You guys can check it out if you hear this. I am actually going to be doing an 888. It's a fun event. It's like a $1. It's a $1 buy-in, 100K guarantee.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty sweet. Anyway, so we're doing that tomorrow. It's just going to have a really good time. It's all amateurs. 888, though, is really, really strict. I mean, they cross their T's, they dot their I's. You cannot play on a VPN from a different country, a different state, whatever it might be. But GG, I've heard that a lot of people living in the States are playing on that site. I'm wondering how that's going to happen for the World Series.
I think that a lot of people are willing to gamble. Look, if they're willing to put in 10, 15 buy-ins in a 5K event, they're looking to gamble.
Right. Yeah.
They're not the nits of the world. They're looking to gamble. I think there's other ways to circumvent the system other than a VPN. Not going to go into great detail, but not that I do. Everything I have is in New Jersey. I think that you're going to run into a lot of controversy, like you said, between the ghosting, the VPNing. I think if your VPN drops out for like a second and they see where your location is, they're going to pull the prize fund. Then what happens? Okay, so the guy who got second got pulled. And now his prize money, where does that go? Does it just trickle down to the next finishers? Like, I just don't think they thought this whole thing through. Like, you're just going to run up against so many issues that are going to come up for this thing. And you're talking about a ton of money. It's not like your daily tournament at Stars where you win $2,000 for first place. You're talking about millions of dollars. People are going to find a way to play this thing. And then people are going to be found to be cheating in this thing. Like, it's just inevitable.
I just wonder, I mean, like you said, you talk about people willing to gamble, and if somebody's willing to gamble, they're willing to gamble. I just kind of look at it and I go, okay, if you factor in the rake and you factor in the games and the difficulty of the games, are you, between the rake and the players you're playing, are you that much of a favorite that you're willing to take the, let's say even if it's a 3 or 4% chance that you're going to lose, you can win and then not get paid if you are using either a VPN or, as you said, another avenue. That'll be, by the way, on Melissa Burr's own tech podcast. You can check that out on Wednesdays starting next month. But no, I wonder, I'm going, okay, because that has to be factored in. Like when I think of private games and I go, okay, well, the rake is X. And
I'm willing to lose X, Y, Z, yeah.
Right. The chance that I'm going to get stiffed is X, but the game is so good that it's still positive EV. I had Sean Deeb on my podcast a while ago, and he used to talk about loaning money to people in his games. And he said, oh, yeah, I knew when I loaned money to these people that I was only going to get paid back, say, 85, 90% of the time. He goes, but I also knew that I was going to win their money from them 75% of the time, and if you do the math, it was still a positive EV play for me to loan them money. And I said, okay, it makes sense.
I don't think a lot of people are like factoring that in. I think they're just like, I want to play the main event.
How can you not factor it in? I mean, imagine factor in the chances of winning the rake with, like I said, the 2 or 3%, whatever it is, whatever you come up with, chance that you're going to get found out and then not even get paid if you win.
Yeah, I mean, it seems asinine to me. It seems ludicrous to you. I wouldn't do it, but there are people that will.
I guess
it's like people that lay like 100 to 1 odds that something's not going to happen. Like, are you really willing to risk 100K to win 1,000? Like, it's just the risk reward seems not that good. But it's the same thing. People assess risk in different ways. I don't know.
Yeah, you and
Wouldn't be me.
Yeah, you and I are in the risk-reward business, so it doesn't make sense to me either. We've been talking for a while. I feel like I could have like 3-part series of like the Burr series. We might, because I'm enjoying your brain. I like the way you work. You're funny. You're sarcastic. You're obviously a very intelligent person. So we can talk about all sorts of things later on. Before I let you go, though, because we have been going for a while, and I know you have to talk to your niece and your nephew. What is it? Both or just one?
2. One, my niece and my nephew.
Okay, cool. Are you dating anybody right now or no?
Whoa.
Okay, Scott. Okay, sorry. Is it like that? Is it that awful a question? Are you asexual or something? I don't understand.
Oh my God.
I mean, I wasn't asking if you're married or if you're having kids. I just asked if you were dating somebody.
Well, that's a loaded question.
Is it? Is it really that loaded? It feels like yeah, I'm seeing somebody. No, I'm single. Well, I don't know.
Oh my God, I am not answering that.
I mean, I didn't ask if you were straight, if you're gay. I don't care. I just asked if you were dating somebody.
Oh my God, I hope you cut this part.
Oh, I don't cut any of this. This is all in.
Oh my God. All right. I'm not answering that.
You said no. Wait, you said no filters, and you won't answer the simple question of, are you dating somebody?
Yes, it's complicated.
Okay. It's complicated. Fair enough. I'm all good with that. That's fine.
I'm going to go with the Facebook status. It's complicated.
It's complicated. Okay, cool. It's all good. Hey, whatever. I was just wondering if we're going to have little Burr babies running around at any point.
Oh my God, no, that one I can answer.
Ever? Are you any inclination to ever have a family, be a mom, or no? Cool either way, by the way. I respect you no matter what. I actually respect people. I respect people that don't have kids because they don't want them. They're like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not doing what society tells me to do. For me, it was a good idea. For others, not.
I wake up at like 2 p.m. and, my job stability relies on a card turning on the river. So, I mean, I don't know. It just seems irresponsible to pump out kids. But, at some point, maybe if, I'm responsible and I quit getting high before podcasts, I would consider a child.
See, this is the thing that's scary, though, to me. If smart, sarcastic, intelligent people do not procreate, and the stupid, uneducated people continue to have 4 and 5. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that the math does not work out well for us here in this world.
Yeah, but then again, the people that are the smartest are the most selfish, and they're the most, they know what comes with all of that responsibility. So, yeah, the world might be in a questionable state in the next, 50 years. And I will take partial blame for that. If I never had kids, I'd be like, oh, well, I did that, but I'm on my way out, so who cares?
Okay, I'll leave you with this. COVID 2020. By the way, we didn't even get political at all. We didn't do any of that. I had a whole other, like I said, we can do that in another podcast. It's good.
We'll go round 2.
Yeah, no, round 2 it'll be good. I'm definitely getting you back on. You're fantastic. Anyway, what do you miss most? 2020. Obviously, we're living in the upside down world, so to speak. What do you miss most about the world?
Okay. Well, a lot of people are gonna call me soft and say I'm, not that tough, but I actually miss hugging my mom. I've seen her, and she's older. I didn't see her for the longest time because I was, very scared for her. And I don't even know what to believe, but I just knew that there was nothing in this world that was going to make me risk getting her sick or my dad. And so I saw them. They have a backyard, so I went up there. I drove an hour and 15 to see them multiple times, but I stayed, 6 feet away from them. I didn't go in their house. So I think the most thing I miss the most is hugging them. I couldn't hug my niece and nephew. I miss that interaction with the people that I love.
That's sweet.
I know that sounds super soft.
Sorry, guys. That's sweet. That's kind of nice. It's nice to know that you have that side. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, you tweeted yesterday, going to do a podcast with Tuck. Should I be A, stone, sober, and serious, B, high as fuck, no filter, and results, high as fuck, no filter, 1. Obviously, hey, listen, for those of you out there, I don't think you certainly are not high as fuck, but you definitely weren't stone, sober, and serious. I mean, you're stone sober,
no,
I think,
I wasn't.
But
No.
You're not even stone sober?
No, I'm not. I promise you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be just out here bashing public companies and people by name if I was stone sober.
I love it. Hey, listen, let's keep in touch. You're fun.
Definitely.
I will. We'll catch up again.
All right. Thanks, Tuck.
That is going to do it for this episode of Under the Gun, of course, sponsored by CrushLivePoker.com. If you want 1 month free over at CrushLivePoker.com, use the code DTA501 and get 1 month of great content for absolutely free. That's right, no money. Learn how to play poker better for free for 1 month. Videos, podcasts, all sorts of great stuff out there. Check it out. I want to thank you all for joining us. Of course, follow Melissa Burr at Burr with 5 R's, Berry over on Twitter. I'm at Tuck on Sports. Once again, thank you, everybody. You guys are awesome.